So my name's Sash. I'm CCA's sponsorship director this year, and currently I'm in my fourth year doing software and business analytics.
Hello, I'm Chelsea. I'm also part of CCA, the publications director, and I'm also in my fourth year doing commerce and IT.
Great. And I'm in my second year. I'm a media comms officer for CCA, and I'm also studying commerce and IT. So it's nice to meet you.
Great to meet you. So I'm Nikita. I am in my second year of working with PWC. And of course, prior to that, I was working with DXC Technology, looking after their AI machine learning capability. And prior to that, I've been in banking and Tabcorp and done lots of other fun stuff. I am in Insight Analytics, we call it, also integrated infrastructure. What that means is we specifically focus on problems that concern Australia's digital and physical infrastructure and how we can tackle those with the lens of data analytics, AI, and that sort of fun stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so quite a lot of technical work, is it?
Yeah, I focus on platforms. So cloud platforms is what we predominantly work with. Microsoft, Google, AWS, you'd be all across, also known as hyperscalers, and native services. But we work with other people such as Salesforce, Tableau, etc. As well.
Yeah, perfect. So, did you perhaps what was a rough day in the life for you? Does it start kind of early, finish early, or some other variation?
So I have, I guess, my specific quirks, which is I don't like very early morning meetings. Mm-hmm. But a day in the life of involves lots of meetings with clients, internal people, working on specific problems we might be facing on a particular project, or looking at the problems we want to solve with the client and our developers and engineers and data scientists and analysts that might be on those projects. I should probably also explain the construct of projects in consulting.
Well, I was just about to ask you that as well.
So when I'm talking about projects in consulting, consulting is very much you are working for someone in industry, and by industry we mean it could be New South Wales government, a particular agency, department, or cluster of New South Wales government, potentially working with one of the big banks, yada yada yada, many companies who need our help and support in accelerating their data and analytics journey or their technology journey or anything else. So projects is effectively one of those entities. A company will, or a government agency will go, hey, we're thinking about doing X, Y, Z. We don't really know exactly how to get there, what skills we might need, what the journey might look like, or they might have a good amount of understanding of what they think they need, but they need help with executing it. So they reach out to effectively a lot of consulting companies. It could be Big Four, could be technology consulting companies, one or all. And we effectively put forward our point of view and how we would tackle that project with them. So that's what we mean by projects. At any one time, I might have multiple going on. So as a director, directors are known as practice managers. And that means we're managing people, we're managing projects, we're managing lots of different things alongside partners to reach that target outcome for a client. And that's a typical day in the life of is getting together and working through the day-to-day nitty-gritty problems we might be having on a number of projects or facing on a number of projects that we're looking at solving through our work.
Yep. What kind of projects have you been working on for the past 2 years at PWC?
So I've been with PWC for about 14 months. I'm in my second year of being with PWC, and the projects are always, there's a wide variety.
Right.
Sometimes it could be a strategy piece of work. People are looking to understand how they can leverage their data effectively to make a meaningful impact in their organization. Or it could be one of the projects I'm working on is really a 3-year piece of work, which is to stand up what we call a greenfield platform, i.e. it doesn't exist, it's completely new to the ecosystem, and it's a longer journey. So it could be any scale, really. It's a big point A to point Z type of variety.
And do you find that, I guess, managing several projects at once, all at different timelines, is rather difficult? Or do you seem to just have a knack of it and you've already kind of got a good experience and a good idea of how you tackle those problems?
What we have is a stellar team behind us who's helping us manage all of those things and working alongside us. So consultants, senior consultants, managers, senior managers, all working together with us. So it's not just me, it's lots of people trying to work together to make something happen. And my main role is to give direction, to give quality assurance, to give guidance, to give feedback, to make sure we're staying on course. And then the heavy lifting, of course, everyone is doing a bit of it, and it becomes less heavy individually.
Yeah, perfect. So I assume teamwork is, I guess, one of the core things that helps consulting. Yeah.
Working alongside and collaborating with others and having that skill is one of the first things we look for when we're hiring our team or we're looking for our team. How effectively that person can work with another person to reach a solution.
Do you get a chance to perhaps meet the team outside of PWC? Do you guys go on like social events? Is it more, we finish this project and we move on to the next one?
No, definitely lots of socials involved. I love a good outing. So another one of my responsibilities as a director and a practice manager, alongside our partners, collective responsibility is to make sure everyone is having fun while we're doing heavy lifting and working through these hard problems that are soaking up a lot of brain capacity. We also have a lot of downtime built in, fun injected throughout the project with the client and with our team. So that's very, very important. Having a good culture means that it fosters communication between us all, and therefore we get to that outcome more efficiently as well. So it's really to the benefit of the organisation to build in a lot of downtime and build in lots of activities where we get to know the team outside of the project context.
What do you think are like the biggest challenges in your role, I guess, as a director at PWC?
Information and changes happen very quickly. When you're working on multiple projects, things are going to change hourly.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So how do you stay on top of all of that? In my role as a director is probably the biggest challenge, staying connected to those things. I guess challenges broadly, regardless of role in consulting, your first and foremost thing, I think even before communication, because you can learn that on the job. You can build up your communication skills. It's a sort of continuous learning exercise. But something that I think is a little bit more fundamental is having the ability to learn and having the skills to learn. And that's really important at university, because university is not just about learning your subject matter. University is about, I know how to research and learn for myself. It's building up that skill that's really important at university. Subject matter is one thing. Subject matter is going to change. What software engineering looks like today is not the same as what it's going to look like in 5 years. So do you have the ability to keep up with that change? Have you learned how to learn? Is the most important skill effectively.
Cool, that's very interesting. I haven't heard that perspective before, but it's a very good point. That's so true. Like everything's going to be changing, so as long as you're able to learn things quickly, you'll stay on top of it.
So you mentioned that you were in a particularly technical role. Did you, I guess, get those technical skills like throughout uni? Were you already interested in it, or was it your willingness to learn throughout your previous, I guess, employment history that got you to where you are now?
Bit of both. I did statistics at uni. I started my career as a data scientist. and I learned on the job more and more about what I do now. And certifications and ongoing learning, all of that is really important as well.
So did you find, I guess maybe that transition from going from that typical, data science job to the director to where you are now difficult, or was it just, pretty easy?
Well, it happens a step at a time, right? It doesn't happen overnight. It happens at a step at a time. You stretch yourself a little bit more, you stretch yourself a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more. And each time you do it, that stretch stops feeling like a stretch now. You're comfortable. And then you keep going. So you don't actually remember, hey, how did I get from data scientist to here? Was that a really difficult journey? That's happened over years, and it's happened over lots of learnings. So it's incremental, happens little by little.
Great.
It wasn't difficult, it was just life.
As you know, like a lot of people, I guess, in their final years of uni or like their penultimate year are kind of looking for like their internships or grad positions. We just wanted to ask you what exactly you look for, or I know you mentioned like teamwork, communication, the ability to learn, but within the recruitment process, how can that be highlighted by the student and how can that stand out?
There's three things, and I'll say them in order. One is, have you guys heard the concept of a T?
No, I haven't.
So, be a well-rounded professional. You need to have a depth of knowledge in a particular area, and then a breadth of knowledge of things across multiple areas. So the trunk of the T is what I expect to see when someone is joining as an intern or a graduate. They have the basis of a T, not fully fleshed out, but the basis. They have the necessary starting point skills for a solid trunk of that T or tree. I've heard both. I call it a T. And then we will, of course, help that build that breadth of knowledge, because that you learn on the job. So that's one thing. You've got the basis of your subject matter expertise T. The second, and this is again in order, you've got the ability to learn. And the third is your communication skill. You have a strong basis upon which to build. It's not going to be perfect. You're going to learn a lot of that on the job itself. Those are the top three things I would look for, I guess.
How do you think students can show that, say in an interview, how can they show that they have the ability to learn new things quickly?
It's I think sometimes we try to in conversation over finesse it in terms of let me try to find a roundabout way, in terms of demonstrating that I have these skills. But walking into an interview and saying, hey, my name is Nikita, I've just left university, and I know you'll be taking a chance on me and you'll be investing a lot of time in me to help me grow, but here's what I bring to the table. I've got a solid understanding of my subject matter. I have a really great ability to learn. I've demonstrated that by researching this and researching that and learning this and learning that in my degree and on the side. And I have really great communication skills. I've got a great network of friends. I've got a great network of extracurriculars. I do dragon boating, for example, as on the side, because I'd like to, and I like to meet, people outside of that. So those are different examples by which you can demonstrate that. And if that was the opener, if someone came to me in an interview and said, hey, let me tell you a bit about myself. I have these really important three things that will help you as you're helping me and helping me grow.
Yeah. Okay,
and
cool.
it can be open, strong. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay, that's very interesting. Especially with the T concept. I'd never heard of that before, but we'll definitely be taking that with me.
A lot of students, including myself, I don't really know what I want to do after I graduate. There's so many roles out there, and also I don't know a lot about them. I don't know what roles are available. I just wanted to know how you realized what field you wanted to work in, or Like, was it always something you were always aiming for, like to be a director at PWC? Like, how did you go about that?
No, I didn't have a long-term plan. I wanted to be director at PWC. That's not how I did it, I guess. When I started university, I was actually studying biotechnology.
Oh, wow, okay.
And a bit of chemical engineering on the side.
Oh, wow, okay.
And then I realized, hey, my probably only two options in life once I finish these things are going to be research or potentially going into mining. Neither of those things fit in with my personality. And then I thought to myself, hey, what do I really just enjoy doing? Out of everything that I've learned, what do I really like doing and what do I really like learning? And it was statistics. And I said, well, I'm just going to go with that. And there was no career. Like the concept of a data analyst or a data scientist back in those days didn't exist. Yeah. People would be like, oh, you're going to do a PhD and become a teacher? I'm like, I don't know. I'll find the right spot. Don't worry about that. I just want to do what I enjoy.
Yeah.
And I did. I did work alongside my degree though.
So you worked like full time?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I was studying in my full time.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
And not for the entirety, but for a good chunk towards the end. One of the reasons why I did that is I wanted to learn how to be in a workplace as well. There's a lot of things that you learn in a workplace that you just don't outside of it. And I wanted to make connections with people in that organization that might help me get to where I want to get to. And actually learn what jobs exist in real life and not on a piece of paper somewhere. And that helped, and it helped me network and get a lot of mentoring in place for me, which helped with my career growth as well. When people saw that I actually knew a lot of stuff already, like, well, great, you're ready for a promotion and here's the next step and this is what you need to do to get there. So that had, I think, in my career a big impact. The other thing was I never, and I still to this day hold myself to this as much as possible, aim for a title or aim for a target organization. Because career progression in a workplace is often determined by other factors, i.e. how effective your manager or your boss will be when you get there at mentoring you and growing you as a person, as a professional, because they will be a key input and driver of your career and career trajectory in that organization. Yeah. So I always went for, I really like that team. That team has a really great culture and I really like that boss. They run that team well. So for me, an interview was an opportunity to also know the team. So I would also interview with team members to understand how they felt about things and getting to know the person that I'm going to be working for. An interview is as much for you as someone who's applied to the role as it is for the other person to figure out if you're a good fit for the role. You also need to figure out if you're a good fit for that team and if that organization is a good fit for you. It will come over time, you know, grad roles, you're going to go through a hard slog of spray and pray and let's get something. That's fine. But later in life, your control over what you want to do in life and your ability to have that control will increase over time. In the beginning, you'll feel like you have a fairly low ability of having that control, but that will increase over time. So, for example, when I interviewed at PWC, while you might normally only have 2 to 3 rounds of interviews, I added another 2 because I wanted to meet with the peers that I'd be working with. I wanted to have another one-on-one interview with the boss, understand what his strategy was for the organization and the team, and what his strategy was for my growth, and feel comfortable that I'm now okay to move into this organization and I know what I need to do when I get there day one.
Wait, I guess it's almost time, so we'll just wrap up for today. I know you've given us like a heap kind of like tips and advice during this whole podcast, but I guess just do you have any like last tips for like students like me, or anyone that's listening to this podcast that want to begin their career in consulting?
Yeah, I mean, don't tie yourself to any one thing, so it doesn't have to be consulting.
Yeah.
Remember that.
Yeah.
Because you may not get there. I didn't start in consulting.
Yeah.
You may get there a different way. You may want to learn things along the way before you get there, and that's okay. But definitely, if you are keen for consulting, PWC.
Noted.
So don't put that pressure on yourself, or I want to get there in 10 years' time, so I better be following all the steps that someone's told me now. That's not how life works.
Yeah.
So don't worry about that. Focus on what you want in life. I want my work-life balance to look like this. I want to have the ability to do X, Y, and Z things in my life. Figure that out first. And then go, right, now what do I need from my job to be able to sustain that? And then you have a good little map of what you need from the job. And then you start to identify, right, these are the areas that will give me that. These are the places that will give me that. And these are the people I should be talking to get that. Work is a part of a broader picture of life. So figure out what you want from life first, how work is going to help you achieve it.
Yep. Cool. Thank you so much, Nikita. Thank you for taking with your time. I know you're super busy, the director. So we're very lucky to, be able to get a slot in your calendar. We hope it's been enjoyable, and I'm sure a bunch of the members that are listening in will gain lots of, information by tuning into this podcast.